You know, they say that hindsight is 20/20, but if you're over 50, it can actually be a haunting. So let me ask you this. Have you struggled at all with regret? That famous word, regret. If so, this video might be for you. Hi friend, if we haven't met, my name is Bernie, and this is Silver Warrior's Journey channel. And I'm going to talk a little bit about regret. And I'd like to share first off, as personal experience, that this is going to be a two-part story. The first part is we have two types of regrets. We have a regret, which I call my FIMO, F-I-M-O, and that's fear I missed out. And then we have our regret on this side, which I call the guilt. This is the one we're really going to focus on, because this is absolutely the one that impacts us the greatest and can potentially do the most harm, especially even if you're 50. It doesn't matter how old you are, but this channel specifically is designated for those 50 plus who are looking to realign their lives and are struggling with some questions and challenges, and also to help pay forward to the younger generation all that wisdom and all that knowledge and skills and those experiences. So again, with all that being said, so let's talk about first the FIMO, fear I missed out. So for many folks, and I'm sure I'm talking to you specifically, and you may have had this experience where there's something in our past that we look back and say, boy, I wish I had done that. You know, I wish I took that trip to Jackson Hole for skiing adventure with a friend of mine named Jeff many, many years ago, because they had such a great time and my schedule was too busy, and I regret that I couldn't do that. And I look back at it, and that's the fear I missed out. With all that being said, we all have those times in our lives with it. But guess what? Sometimes we can go back to those fears of missing out and come back and say, you know what? I definitely can redo this. I can go to Jackson Hole today if I choose, right? I can actually do something today to kind of make up for that. For years, for myself, I love going outdoors. I love being outdoors. I could probably live in a tent and I'd be happy as heck, even though I work as a clinician and I'm behavioral health, and I work specifically in hospital settings, and we run mobile crisis programs and so on. But I could be happy forever living outdoors. Love it. I also loved ATVs. I loved getting out on ATVs into the middle of the woods, and I always wanted one for myself. I was never in an area where I could actually really have one, and when I thought I could have one, it just wasn't feasible at the time. And all these years later passed by, right? And I could not do it at the time. But guess what? 5 years ago, I decided it was time. I wanted to buy an ATV. My wife wouldn't let me have a motorcycle. I don't blame her. But four wheels seemed a little bit safer. And that fear that I missed out was now no longer a fear. It was actually waiting for the right time, because now I enjoy it in a much different perspective than I might have done back, in my 20s. And I'm 63 here today. So with all that being said, that is the fear I missed out, is always something we can come back and revisit. And it's not necessarily a fear. But with that being said, and by the way, I'm in a kitchen setting here in one of the organizations that I help run. This is a mobile crisis program, but just to preface where I'm at here right now, the other end of regret, the guilt, this is the part that really can kill us. This is the part that does the most damage, because we have not been able to resolve something from our past, right? That guilt, regret that I wish I did, when I did something, I wish I could go back and take it back, or I wish I could have done it differently, or I wish I could redo what happened in my life. And it's an event that potentially, or events, multiple, that have culminated to create a condition where now I just can't get past it, or it still sits in me like a thorn kind of in the side. So I like to share kind of a personal story about and a solution to how you overcome that as well. So with a quick snapshot, and I talk more about this in another video, I came from a great family until I was about 9 years old, with grandparents, family, everybody was together. Then my dad died and everything disintegrated. The whole entire family disintegrated and imploded. That second part of that childhood was horrific, and to the end up where my result was I was homeless at the age of 17, living in a snowbank in Central Park, New York City, with nobody, no one, and had to figure this out for myself. So with that being said, there was some history of trauma that I had in my life, and I went into my 20s and worked really hard. I knew that I could do what anyone else could do. I just had to work 5 times harder. And I was I was good with that. I'm okay. I am a hard worker. I'm happy to do that. So my early 20s, I became one of the earliest general managers age-wise. So I was 24 when I became a general manager in my industry at that time. And I had a staff of 42 people working under me. And it was a great experience and a great opportunity. I worked my ass off to get to that. So I'm sharing this because all this buildup I'm doing, right? You think that somebody's got to be aggressive and assertive and has ego and everything else. And it was all intellect here, but it wasn't here, because in here I had zero confidence. The trauma I had from my past had impacted me greatly because I was hollow. I just didn't have anything in here. I had zero esteem for myself, regardless of my success exterior. The interior here I was dead. I did not have anything, and I didn't know why at the time. So in my early 20s, I met my now wife, my angel, my soulmate, when I was 20 years old, and we've been together ever since. I'm 63, so you can do the math. With that, I had somebody that was a part of my life who was supportive and absolutely always there for her, but she couldn't figure out what was wrong with me either. And even though I had all this energy and this creativity and I'm doing these incredible things, I could not find that peace in myself. So I found something in my 20s that was a tool that I used that was to help resolve that issue. And that tool was in the form of alcohol. And throughout my weeks, alcohol would become a major part of playing a tool to keep me on the lower end of that hurt from in here and kind of a disconnect, because we use something like alcohol or substances to change this, right? And it doesn't matter, it's nicotine or it's alcohol, it could be sugar, it's irrelevant. We do a state change here. And the reason we do that is because we're not happy here. Something's missing in here, and that does impact us greatly. So with that being said, I had some years where I'm struggling with alcohol. I'm working, doing everything I'm supposed to do, but alcohol became my crutch. It became a tool for me for a period of time. And then when my wife and I were married, we had our son, Michael. When he was born, I realized something had to change. I couldn't continue on that. I was creating a lot of challenges for my wife. I was creating a lot of problems. I'd lost a couple of jobs, and I knew I had to do something about it. I actually felt like that I was hopeless and helpless and worthless at the time. And then my wife said these magical words to me, and to this day, it still resonates like no other words have ever resonated. And she said, "Don't you know that your life is worth living?" And it snapped me into some new reality. It was an epiphany. And as a result of that, and having that opportunity of this change here and a change here, I stopped drinking, changed my life, began that journey moving forward, and everything changed. Literally, I changed my career. I got into behavioral health. I think we discover our vocation. I don't think we create it. And as a result of discovering that vocation, I found that behavioral health, working in human development, working with substance use disorders, all these different issues that people struggle with. And really took a loving to this. And for 35 years, I've been working in this field. As a result, though, as the years went by, I was creating some programs that were based on the constructs and principles of life. Tiger Resilience is the business that I created and I run with my son. This channel, Silver Warrior's Journey, is specifically for 50 plus, but my main business is Tiger Resilience. So, with all that being said, is that we're going back to the guilt and the actual regrets. So after some years went by, my wife and I would occasionally have conversations, and she sometimes would get heated about something that happened when I was drinking back in my past. And it might have been, and it was something she had a validity, she was valid for doing that, because there was things that happened, that created trauma for her. And at that time, I didn't even realize that I had inflicted a trauma to her. I had a trauma that I didn't know how to identify and recognize, that I finally started to learn about and then deal with. And yet I created this for her in her life. And then some years later, it came to her through, to me, about a behavior that happened maybe several years ago, and I'm talking many years ago right now. This was after I stopped drinking, maybe 7-8 years after I stopped drinking. I would get these episodes from her, and I used to get really offended by that. It's like, well, I don't drink anymore. I don't do those. I'm completely changed. And yes, I was. But that didn't take away from what I did to her, and she needed an opportunity to be able to discuss that and stress it. But in the beginning, I had this guilt, I had this regret for having to have done that, and it hurt, and it was really painful because now I'm taking it personal. And I realized that it wasn't personal. Okay, it was about an action and a behavior I did, but it wasn't personal. It was her way of being able to, it was the therapeutic way for her to get it out of her system, and she had to do it with me and share it with me. My role and goal at that time, once I learned, and it took me a little while to learn this, I had to sit there and just listen with the intention of understanding her and not responding to her. And then as a result of that, that shifted everything. So all of a sudden I started having a clear conscience because I realized I can't change what happened in the past. You can't change what happened in the past. What we can do is something different today. It's the response to a behavior, even if that behavior for me was 30 some odd years ago, that it's a change today that we can make that can absolutely continue to evolve us and move us forward. But the key takeaway for this here is dealing with guilt is understanding first what it is, what was my role in it, why do I have this feeling on it and regret, what can I do about it today, right? And all the things I'm sharing with you is I listen with the intention of understanding, I'm calm, I'm patient, I've forgiven myself, allowed myself that opportunity to say, you know what? These were circumstances as a result of a trauma I went through, and not an excuse, not a rationalization. Rationalize is two words, rationalize, and it's nothing at all. It was about an explanation of something happened. I made bad choices at a point in my life, and then I corrected those choices going to another direction. So as a result of that, guilt and that regret started to dissipate. Now, does it come back from time to time? Of course it does. But I have tools because I have the resources and abilities now to understand that it isn't something I can change from yesterday. I can just change what I do and how I respond to it today. And that's truly the takeaway. So we have those two regrets, the fear I missed out, and then this one with the guilt. What did I do? And I wish I could take it back. I can't do anything about this. Sometimes I can do things about this, but I can't do anything about this except come to terms with it and put it in its proper place. Because in a journey of life, and I share this a lot in our principles in our program with Tiger Resilience, is in our journey of life, your life is this perfect metaphor. Your journey is a highway. You're heading down a highway. You're in your car. That's you. That's your driving your life down that highway. You're staring out your windshield. That's the direction you're going in. But if I'm going to live in regret, if I'm going to think about what happened and what I did, I'm focusing on the rearview mirror, because that's my past, right? And I'm not going in that direction, I'm going this way. And if I can keep staring at that rearview mirror because I'm living and trying to relive what happened back then, what happens to me today? Well, in my drive going forward, if I'm just staring at a rearview mirror, I don't know about you, but I know it won't end well for me, because I will not be anywhere in the direction, or obviously could crash and burn and all these things. So the idea and the whole takeaway is that, we are going this way. Regret is a time in life. That's all it is with us. You can have regret, and then you can get over the regret. You can get over the guilt. If you fear you missed out on something, you can revisit that. For me, if I want to go to Jackson Hole today, I can. I bought an ATV to revisit that. There's some things I wanted to do at the time, and I thought I missed out, and I really didn't. It was just those were moments in time, right? So without rambling too much, I want to say, first of all, that this channel right here, Silver Warrior's Journey, is dedicated to those 50 plus who share their experience, strength, and hope through our podcast. It's a new channel. I am looking for people who have a life experience that are 50 plus, and they would love an opportunity to come and join us on our podcast. If you're interested in that, could you please leave a comment below, and I will absolutely reach out to you, and we'll see if we're compatible and this could be a good match. And I would love to have you on our podcast show to share your experiences. And the only criteria is that you have to be 50 plus and have had overcome something that you can share with the world that can potentially learn from that as well too. So please understand, at the end of the day, regret is something that does not have to be a haunting to you. You can change how you respond to that today and be the person that you want to be and become, right? With all that being said, again, I want to wish you nothing but the best. Please, if this had any value, this video, please consider subscribing to our channel, or at very least like it so we can pay it forward to somebody else who could benefit from it. But with all that being said, I'm really grateful that I got the chance to meet with you. I'll look forward to speaking with you in our next video, maybe in a different setting than our work kitchen here in our conference room, but I would look forward to that opportunity as well. So once again, this is Silver Warrior's Journey. I'm looking forward to speaking with you again, and my name is Bernie Tiger. I'll look forward to talking to you.